Hiding in skirts. My name is Daniel Hayes. To most people, I'm just another 24-year-old trying to get by, working a stable office job, living with my girlfriend Emma in a small but cozy apartment, and blending into the rhythm of everyday life. On the surface, there's nothing remarkable about me. But that's only the surface. Underneath it all, I hide a secret. It started years ago, small, curious impulses I never really understood. A pair of stockings borrowed from the laundry, the faintest brush of lipstick found in my mother's makeup drawer, the way a skirt would swish when my sister walked past. I never told anyone. Not my parents, not my friends, and certainly not Emma. But the urge didn't go away. If anything, it grew stronger with time, like a quiet storm gathering in the background of my life. Now, in the privacy of our apartment, when Emma is away at work or out with her friends, I let myself disappear into another version of me. A version that slips into soft fabrics, delicate colors, and heels that make my heart pound. A version that feels both terrifying and thrilling. The first time I dared to try it in our shared home, I told myself it would be just once, a passing experiment. But once quickly became a ritual. Each time, I'd carefully check the locks, silence my phone, and tiptoe into the closet where Emma's dresses and skirts hung like forbidden fruit. The irony is Emma and I have always been open about almost everything. She's supportive, kind, and endlessly curious about the world. We talk about politics, about family, about where we see ourselves in 5 years. But this secret life I nurture in silence. It's the one thing I can't bring myself to say aloud. Because what if she doesn't understand? What if she thinks it's disgusting? What if she leaves? Emma is the center of my world. She's warm and affectionate, the kind of person who lights up any room. Her laugh is the first sound I want to hear in the morning, and the last before I fall asleep. She has dreams of starting her own bakery one day, and I imagine myself standing beside her, proud and steady. And yet, even with all my love for her, I hide. Our apartment sits on the second floor of a quiet building, the kind where neighbors nod politely in the hallways, but never ask too many questions. Inside, the mood is cozy, soft yellow lamps in the living room, Emma's touch in every detail, throw pillows, plants on the windowsill, candles that smell like vanilla and lavender. It feels like a home built for two people who trust each other completely. But in the evenings, when Emma's shifts run late or when she visits her sister across town, the air shifts. The apartment becomes my stage, and the walls hold my secret. I'll slip into the bedroom, open the closet, and let my fingers brush across Emma's skirts. They feel impossibly soft, whispering against my skin, daring me to choose one. Sometimes I freeze, paralyzed by guilt. Sometimes I can't resist, pulling the hanger free with trembling hands. When I slide the fabric over my legs, I feel something I can't put into words, like stepping into another skin, another possibility of who I could be. My chest tightens, not with shame exactly, but with a dangerous thrill. I'll catch my reflection in the mirror, half smiling, half terrified. The first time Emma almost caught me was 3 months ago. She texted me that she was coming home early, and I nearly ripped the zipper off one of her skirts, trying to get it off. By the time she walked through the door, I was breathless, back in my jeans, pretending to watch TV. She never suspected a thing. Or at least I told myself she didn't. That close call should have scared me into stopping. But it didn't. If anything, it made the ritual more dangerous, more addictive. I tell myself I'm careful. I fold everything neatly back. I check for perfume or makeup smudges. I triple-check the clock. But deep down, I know it's only a matter of time before something slips. And that's the problem. I don't know if I want to be caught or not. On one hand, the idea terrifies me. Emma's eyes widening in shock, her voice breaking as she asks why I've been hiding this from her. On the other hand, there's a desperate part of me that wants her to know, to understand, maybe even accept this hidden side of me. That conflict gnaws at me every day. At the office, where I sit behind spreadsheets and pretend to be just another ordinary guy. At dinner with Emma, when she talks about weekend plans and I nod along, wondering if I'll have time to sneak into her closet while she's gone. Everywhere I go, I carry the weight of two selves. Daniel, the boyfriend, the worker, the son. And Daniel, the boy hiding in skirts. And tonight, as I hear the sound of Emma's car pulling away, leaving me alone in the apartment once again, that hidden self stirs inside me like a restless shadow. I know what I'm about to do. I know the risks, and I know this secret can't stay buried forever. But for now, with trembling hands and a racing heart, I open the closet door. The apartment was silent. Too silent. Daniel stood in the bedroom with the closet open wide, Emma's skirts and dresses hanging like forbidden treasures before him. His fingers lingered on the fabric of a soft lavender skirt he'd seen her wear to brunch last Sunday. He remembered the way it had swished as she walked, how people had turned to look at her, not just because she was beautiful, but because she carried herself with an effortless confidence he secretly longed to feel. Tonight, that skirt was his. He slid it off the hanger, pressing the fabric against his face for just a second before stepping into it. The sensation of the material brushing his thighs sent a jolt of electricity up his spine. His breathing quickened as he zipped it up. It fit tighter than he expected, clinging to him in ways both awkward and thrilling. But it wasn't enough. He reached for one of Emma's blouses, a pale pink one with pearl buttons, and slipped it over his shoulders. The sleeves were a bit short, the buttons pulling slightly against his chest, but in the mirror, he almost didn't look like himself anymore. His heart pounded. His hands shook as he rummaged through Emma's drawer for the small black box where she kept her makeup. He had watched her apply it 1,000 times. Careful strokes of eyeliner, gentle taps of powder, the quick sweep of lipstick. Could he do the same? He fumbled with the eyeliner, smudging it unevenly, then wiped it away with trembling fingers. He tried again, slower this time. A shaky line appeared along his lashes, transforming his eyes in a way that startled him. He leaned closer, tilting his head, experimenting with mascara, the brush making his lashes darker, longer. And then the lipstick. It was a risk. Emma always noticed when her favorite shade was missing, but Daniel couldn't resist. He twisted the tube and applied the soft red color to his lips. The reflection staring back at him was unfamiliar, unnerving, intoxicating. He didn't just look different. He felt different. For a fleeting moment, Daniel wasn't the awkward boyfriend hiding secrets. He was someone else entirely, someone bold, someone beautiful. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. The sound of a car outside made him freeze. His heart lurched, his ears straining. Was Emma back already? He rushed to the window and peeked through the blinds, relief flooding him when he saw only a neighbor parking. Still, the momentary scare left him shaken. This was the game he played every time, the rush of transformation balanced by the constant threat of discovery. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, smoothing the lavender skirt over his knees, trying to calm down. But the quiet in the apartment only made him more aware of every tiny sound, the hum of the fridge, the tick of the clock, the faint creak of the floorboards when he shifted his weight. His mind raced. What if Emma ever found out? Would she laugh? Would she cry? Would she call him disgusting? Or worse, would she just leave without a word? The idea crushed him. Emma was his anchor, his safe place. And yet, he couldn't stop doing the one thing that might drive her away. Daniel stood again, spinning lightly in front of the mirror, watching the skirt flare around his legs. For a second, he let himself enjoy it, the sensation of freedom, the illusion of becoming someone else. But the enjoyment was tinged with fear. Every second he spent in Emma's clothes was a second closer to being caught. He gathered the courage to put on a pair of her heels, delicate nude pumps she often wore to work. They were slightly too small, but as he took a few shaky steps, he couldn't help smiling. The click of the heels against the wooden floor made him feel powerful, almost invincible. Almost. Another sound, a faint knock on the wall. His breath hitched. He froze. Was it the neighbor? Was someone at the door? His heart thundered as he stood in the middle of the bedroom, dressed head to toe in Emma's clothes, makeup on his face, heels on his feet. If anyone saw him like this, he darted back to the closet, yanking the skirt halfway down, but then stopped. What if it was nothing? What if he was overreacting? But paranoia had already taken root. Daniel rushed to the bathroom, scrubbing at his lips with toilet paper until the red lipstick smeared across his skin like blood. He clawed at the eyeliner with a damp towel, smudging it into raccoon-like circles under his eyes. He kicked off the heels, shoved the skirt and blouse into the closet, and pulled on his jeans and hoodie. His chest heaved, sweat beading along his forehead. Then, silence again. The knock hadn't come again. Maybe it really had been nothing. A neighbor shifting furniture, a random sound in the old building. But Daniel couldn't shake the dread. The thrill was always followed by this, the crash of fear, the shaking hands, the paranoia that someone knew his secret. Later, when Emma came home, Daniel sat stiffly on the couch, pretending to scroll through his phone. She greeted him with a smile, kissed his cheek, and chattered about her day. He forced himself to act normal, nodding, laughing at the right moments, but the ghost of the skirt still clung to him. As Emma talked about a new pastry recipe she wanted to try for her bakery dream, Daniel found himself staring at her lips, remembering the lipstick, the taste of it still faint on his own. He swallowed hard, guilt tightening around his chest. He loved her so much.
He didn't want to lie.
And yet, he couldn't tell her the truth.
Not yet.
But the more nights passed, the bolder he became. One evening he painted his nails just clear polish, but it shimmered under the lamp. Another time, he dared to put on one of Emma's wigs from a costume party, styling it carefully in front of the mirror. Each experiment was a risk, but the transformation felt addictive. And each time, the fear of being caught pressed heavier on him. One night, as he stood in front of the mirror fully dressed in Emma's lavender skirt, pink blouse, heels, and wig, he whispered to himself, "I'm not just hiding anymore. I'm becoming her." But just as the words left his lips, he heard the unmistakable sound of a key turning in the lock. The metallic click of the key sliding into the lock froze Daniel in place. His reflection in the mirror, lavender skirt, pink blouse, smudged eyeliner, wig slightly crooked, stared back at him like a stranger he couldn't recognize. For a split second, his legs refused to move. His pulse pounded so loud, he thought Emma might hear it from the doorway.
No, not now.
He stumbled, heels clattering against the wooden floor as he darted toward the closet. But the zipper on the skirt snagged. His fingers fumbled desperately with it, tugging, jerking, praying for it to come loose. The door opened. "Daniel? I'm home early." Emma's voice was cheerful, casual, like any other evening. But Daniel's world tilted. He yanked at the zipper again, finally forcing it down, nearly tearing the fabric. He slipped out of the skirt and blouse, tossing them in a tangled heap inside the closet. His breath came in ragged gasps as he clawed at the wig, pulling it free and shoving it onto the shelf. The heels were still on his feet. His eyes darted around frantically.
No time.
He kicked them off, one skidding across the room, the other tipping over with a loud thunk. "Daniel? Are you here?" Emma's voice was closer now, just down the hall. He lunged for his hoodie, dragging it over his makeup-smeared face, his hands shaking so badly he almost put it on backwards. His jeans were still unbuttoned, hanging awkwardly low on his hips as he scrambled to pull them up. The bedroom door creaked. Emma appeared in the doorway, smiling. "Hey, babe."
What are you? She stopped.
Her eyes flicked to the scattered heels, the pile of clothes half hidden in the closet, the lipstick stains smeared across Daniel's cheek. Silence. Daniel's throat closed. He wanted to speak, to explain, but the words tangled and died before they could leave him. His mind screamed with excuses. He could say it was a joke, a prank, a dare, but his body betrayed him. His hands were still trembling, his chest still rising and falling too fast, his lips still tinged with red. Emma's brows furrowed. She stepped closer, her smile fading. "Daniel, what's going on?" Panic clawed at him. "It's nothing. I was just messing around, Her gaze lingered on the wig sticking out of the closet. Then the lavender skirt crumpled on the floor. Then the faint shimmer of mascara clinging stubbornly to his lashes. Her lips parted, but no sound came. The silence between them stretched, thick with tension. Daniel's hands balled into fists at his sides, nails digging into his palms. His heart screamed for him to confess, to just spill the truth, but his fear chained him in place. Emma finally spoke, her voice quiet, careful. "Were you wearing my clothes?" The word struck him like a blow. His face burned hot, his chest heaving. He opened his mouth, but all that came out was a broken whisper. I didn't mean." The sound of another knock shattered the moment. Both of them jumped. Daniel's head whipped toward the door, his blood turning cold. Another knock followed, louder this time. Emma blinked. "Who's that?" Daniel's panic surged. If it was a neighbor, or worse, her sister, he'd be ruined. They'd see the mess, the smeared makeup, the wig. His secret would spread faster than he could contain it. I don't know," he stammered. Emma's eyes narrowed slightly. She turned toward the hall, but Daniel rushed forward, grabbing her wrist. Don't open it." The desperation in his voice made her freeze. Her gaze snapped back to him, confusion and suspicion warring in her eyes. "Why not?" The knock came again, harder, followed by a muffled voice. "Emma? You there?" Daniel's stomach dropped. It was her sister, Chloe. Emma pulled her hand free, heading for the door. Daniel stumbled back, shaking, trying to scrub at his face with the sleeve of his hoodie. The makeup smeared worse, painting shadows beneath his eyes. He shoved the wig deeper into the closet and slammed the door, his breath ragged. "Emma, it's fine, I'll get it." But she was already opening the front door. Chloe stepped inside, holding a bag of groceries. "Hey, thought I'd surprise you. Brought some wine, too." Her eyes landed on Daniel almost immediately. She froze. He must have looked like a ghost, hair disheveled, hoodie pulled low, makeup smeared, lips tinted red. Chloe's gaze flicked down, catching sight of the nude heels lying abandoned by the bed. Her expression shifted. First surprise, then something sharper. "Am I interrupting something?" she asked slowly. Emma's head whipped back toward Daniel. Her voice was steady, but there was an edge to it now. "Daniel, what's going on?" The room spun. Daniel's knees threatened to buckle. He could feel his world caving in, everything he'd worked so hard to hide unraveling in the span of minutes. "Please," he whispered, his voice breaking. "It's not what you think." But even as he said it, he knew the words rang hollow. Emma crossed her arms, her eyes cold and searching. Chloe tilted her head, clearly putting the pieces together. The silence weighed heavy, crushing him from every side. Daniel wanted to run, to vanish, to crawl out of his skin and escape the crushing shame. Instead, he stood there, trembling in skirts he no longer wore, makeup that betrayed him, lies that couldn't protect him anymore. And then Emma took a step closer. Her hand reached out, fingertips brushing the stain of lipstick on his cheek. "Daniel," she said softly, almost like a plea, "tell me the truth." The words hung in the air like a knife, waiting to fall. Daniel's mouth went dry. His heart hammered so violently he thought it might burst through his chest. Emma's eyes, wide, searching, hurt, held him pinned in place. Chloe stood just behind her, arms folded, curiosity flashing across her face like she'd stumbled onto a scandal too juicy to ignore. Daniel stammered, but his throat seized. The words he'd buried for years refused to come out. Emma's fingers brushed his cheek again, smearing the last traces of lipstick into a faint pink blur. She whispered, "Is this who you really are?" The question cut deeper than anything else. Daniel shook his head instinctively, denial rushing to his lips. But then he saw the way Emma looked at him, not just confused, but scared. Scared that the man she thought she knew had been keeping something from her. Scared that maybe their life together wasn't what it seemed. And Daniel realized that no matter what he said, nothing could erase what she had already seen. Before he could answer, Chloe's voice sliced through the tension. "Emma, I think you deserve the truth. And I think he needs to say it." Her gaze snapped to Daniel, sharp and unflinching. "Right now." Daniel's breath caught. His knees trembled. He wanted to scream that it wasn't what they thought, that it was just a game, just a mistake, just something harmless. But deep down, He knew that wasn't true. This was who he was. This was what he'd been hiding. And now, the secret was out. Emma's face hardened, tears shining in her eyes. Daniel, answer me. He opened his mouth, words finally breaking free. But the sound of Emma's phone buzzing on the dresser made them all jump. She snatched it up, glanced at the screen, and her expression shifted. It's Mom, she murmured, her voice unsteady. She says she's downstairs. She wants to come up. Daniel's blood turned to ice. Emma's mother. The one woman whose approval Emma sought more than anyone's. The woman who already had doubts about Daniel, who once said, "Are you sure he's the one for you?" Now, if she walked in and saw him like this, makeup smeared, clothes scattered, evidence everywhere, everything would collapse. Chloe smirked faintly, sensing the chaos.
Well,
this just got interesting. Emma turned back to Daniel, her voice shaking with a mix of anger and desperation. You need to tell me the truth.
Right now.
Before she comes up. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. A sharp knock followed. Emma? It's me. Her mother's voice. Right at the door. Daniel's entire body went rigid. His reflection in the mirror caught his eye, smudged makeup, red-tinged lips, hair mussed from the wig, panic written across every line of his face. He looked like a man caught between two lives, unable to run in either direction. Emma's hand tightened around the doorknob. Her other hand gestured toward him, trembling. Daniel, are you hiding in skirts because this is who you are? The knock came again, louder this time. Emma? Why aren't you opening the door? Emma's tearful gaze locked with his. Chloe's smirk deepened. Daniel's voice finally cracked, barely more than a whisper. I can't. And then, the doorknob turned from the other side. The door creaked open,